A good friend of mine, Jimmy Hapa of Import Gaming for the Win, sold me a Japanese PS2 with an assortment of fighting games. One of those games happened to be Melty Blood Act Cadenza. I've heard of this series, and it was one that never came out to the West, so I did want to try it. I mean, this thing did get a cult following. I mean, it was even featured in EVO 2010. So I was excited to try this game. It was developed by a developer named Frenchbread, and I already had played their PlayStation 3 game, Under Night In-Birth Exe Lite. I really liked that game, and I found it to be a really fun and interesting game. To be honest, I find it much more enjoyable than Melty Blood Act Cadenza. Not a bad game by any means, it's just Under Night was just a much better game. The Melty Blood game that everybody knows is Actress Again. Finally, thanks to Arc System Works, we got a official PC release of this game with online Melty Blood Actress Again current code for Steam or PC or whatever you kids want to call it nowadays. Big shout out to Arc System Works for providing the code for this review. So, will this trump my love for Under Night? Well, let's break it down in our strengths and weaknesses categories. Here we go. Melty Blood has a great art style for a game of its age. Sprite work is not as great as what we're used to today, like Under Night In-Birth Exe, but you can see where the roots of that game came from. This was a doujin game, or basically an indie game at its time. It was a PC game that got ported to PlayStation 2, and it has all the anime gothic feels that you would expect. And pulling off special moves looks oh so flashy, so it looks really great for a game of its age. Has a great roster of characters, and has a few unique fighters with a few variations on them, like you would get out of other games, like Street Fighter. While the soundtrack isn't the most amazing in the world, I did find it quite enjoyable. It had a little variety to it, with some electronic music, a little bit of rock, and some other random genres thrown in, but it all fits very well with the game. The online is not perfect, but it does have that Arc System Works treatment. While a match is loading, it can be a little laggy, but then when the match starts, for most of the connections I've played, it stays strong. I've had a few bad connections here or there, some occasional frame drops, and some chugging. All your needs are here if you want to get competitive in this game. Originally, this is a 4x3 game. You do get a few resolution options here. What I love is that the move list for each character is on whatever side of the screen that character is facing, so that way if you need to know a few quick moves, you have them right then and there. So that's actually a great way to make use of the space provided. The shield button is a complex mechanic that people that want to dive deeper into this game will want to master. It's a very high risk versus reward system. If activated at the right time, you can block enemies and gain more magic or super meter, and it will gain a lot. But this also drains magic meter. You gotta be careful when you use it, so it's a very complex mechanic that people that are hardcore into these games may end up taking advantage of. The moon system, think of it like what they did in Capcom vs. SNK 2, where you have these type of grooves. They call it the moon system here. It does add a little bit of variety. I don't know how to really go into it. It's kind of complicated, but there's a lot of stuff online about it. You can read up on it. While this game can be shallow on the surface, it does have some depth. With that said, it is a much older game, so for some of you guys who want a more polished fighting game experience, you may want to look into other Arc System games such as Guilty Gear or Blaze Blue or even Under Night In-Birth. And a lot of the mechanics, you really have to go online to really learn and study if you're completely new to it. There's nothing in-game. There's been some good YouTube tutorials I've seen, but there's nothing in-game here. While this game, as I mentioned before, does have a big roster, its other weaknesses, there are a lot of clone characters and these weird tag-like characters. There are characters that are two people that can tag in and out. They share the same health bar, but it's almost a little lazy, in my opinion. I feel like they could have really done more with that. Either add more characters or just streamline it to where it was either a tag game or had a tag mode where people could have characters tag up with one another. They could have done something a little different with that, maybe make a smaller, tighter roster, or implement some type of tag system into it. And unless you're familiar with Melty Blood, you're going to be lost with the story. And no offense to Arc System Works, as much as I love their games, their stories do get a little convoluted, and if you really don't know what's going on in Melty Blood, you're definitely not going to know what's going on here. I didn't. All I know, it has to do with humanity's on the brink of being destroyed, and you, I guess depending on the character, get to save humanity or destroy it. I don't know. It'd been nice if they added something like a compendium or something they could have added, like a digital PDF to the package. Also, finding matches is a bit tricky. I've had times when I try to search for ranked matches, wouldn't get anything, I cancel out of it. Then start finding matches. Yeah, right now online matches is a bit tricky, so if you can, try to grab a buddy to sit down with you and play it. I did enjoy my time with Melty Blood Actress Again Current Code. I could see why so many people had loved it for all these years. It definitely does stand apart from Guilty Gear in some of its mechanics and style. I'm glad that they finally brought it over and gave us a chance to play. Do I like this better than Under Night In-Birth Exe Late? Not really, no. I really love that game, and it's a well-made game. But given the fact that this game is way over like 10, 15 years old maybe? Not exactly sure, but it's really old. It's obvious to see where these guys had come from. So, if you're a fan of Under Night and want to see where it came from, by all means, download this and pick this up. It is $25 for some of you may want to wait for a price drop, but you know, if you're into Melty Blood, or you're into Under Night, or you're into anime fighters, and you just want to try something different, you know, this is definitely worth a shot. If you're someone that's not into older games or older mechanics, you know, this may not be for everybody. It's definitely a unique style, and it's not going to suit everybody. Let me know if you guys have been playing this, or if you've ever played Melty Blood at all. You know, let me know down below. And Arc System Works, just brain over an Under Night sequel already. Just give us it, alright? We need more Makarva in our life. Please. Giant Batman. He's not Batman, but he's a bat, or man-bat. Maybe that's what I should use, so that way no one gets sued.